1. Pasta. You won't get sick from eating thawed leftover pasta, but you might not want to eat it. Most pasta will get mushy when you take it out of the freezer, though you might have luck with noodles that are cooked al dente. 2. Rice. If you don't want mushy pasta, you probably don't want your rice to be mushy either. That's why cooked rice should never be kept in the freezer. It's not dangerous to eat, but it will lose its taste and texture. 3. Mayonnaise. If your grocery store has a killer sale on mayo, don't plan on stocking up and freezing any extra jars. When mayonnaise thaws after being frozen, it will separate, taking on a clumpy texture that's anything but appetizing. 4. Gravy. Leftover gravy is a problematic thing to have in your kitchen. It tastes delicious, but only lasts about 2 days in the fridge. To make matters worse, cream and milk-based gravies won't hold up in the freezer, they'll separate and turn lumpy when they thaw. Luckily, flour-based gravy can last up to 4 months in a freezer. 5. Soft cheeses. Storing soft cheeses in the freezer will yield a similar result to storing milk there. When it comes time to eat them, you'll be left with watery lumps, which often ruins the texture of foods like cream cheese, sour cream, and ricotta. 6. Raw veggies and fruits. Any vegetable or fruit that has a high water concentration, like celery, cucumber, salad greens, and watermelon, will not survive the freezer because the water inside quickly forms ice crystals. What that means is when it comes time to thaw them, you'll be left with a mushy, inedible mess. During a pandemic and in everyday life. 7. Milk. Milk is a tricky one. Milk stored in the freezer can separate into chunks and watery parts when thawed. The higher the fat content, the more it separates. It will be safe to eat, but it's not exactly the best consistency for adding to your morning cereal or coffee. However, our sister site Taste of Home says that while drinking thawed milk isn't particularly appetizing, cooking and baking with thawed milk is a totally viable option. 8. Potatoes. Potatoes have a high water content, so after being stored in the freezer, you could be left with a mushy, soft potato. If you're cooking a meal with potatoes and you're hoping to freeze the leftovers, go for it. Cooked potatoes won't be as mushy as if you froze them raw. The texture change won't matter too much in cooked casseroles or stews. 9. Fried food. Sorry, leftover mozzarella sticks. Foods that were fried will lose all their crunch if you put the leftovers into the freeze, and no one wants soft, mushy fried foods. If you're planning to make a batch of home-cooked chicken nuggets to store in the freezer, you're better off skipping the fryer and opt to bake the meal in the oven first. 10. Eggs still in their shell. Putting eggs that are still in the shell into the freezer is a big no-no. The water content inside the egg expands when frozen, which can cause the outer shell to crack and be vulnerable to bacteria. If you want to freeze your eggs, always take them out of the shell, beat until they're well blended, and store in an airtight container with a label. In addition to these foods you shouldn't freeze. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment and subscribe. Smiling face, smiling face, smiling face, smiling face, smiling face.